Hello, hello. Happy Thursday. Hey, Rhiannon. Hey, Remus. How's it going? We're back. We're back after about a week off or so. Camera seems... Am I too far over? Who knows? Yeah, we're back. We haven't streamed since before Easter weekend. So like last Thursday. Now it's Thursday again. Here we are. I took a bit of a break. It's pretty cool. Got to hang out with some friends. Do all that life stuff. And now we're back. We're back. And we're into an exciting new phase of development. I'm putting everything to the side in terms of streaming. All the stuff we're currently working on, like systems development and all that stuff. We're putting all of that to the side. Putting all that to the side because we have a game plan. The game plan for Q2 is a Steam page. Everything else, all other work is subservient to that. So all the fun stuff I'm doing with systems improvements or modularization, modules, submodules. The selection icon stuff that we were working last week, we were working on this tile selection outline. I'll still do this stuff in the background. I'll still, show progress, but it cannot be our focus. Cannot be our focus. Hey, Nix, thanks for the hydrate. How's it going? How's everyone doing? Back to one watch streak. That's okay. That's okay. A watch streak of 1 is okay by me. So, Steam page. What's involved in a Steam page? This is a hyperlink. Where does this even go? I'm afraid to find out. It goes to a page where there's nothing. That's fine. That's what we have this for. It goes to a note. We'll think about the Steam page. There was an article that was associated with this thing as early as possible. This is some old, oh my lord. All right, we're going to try this a different way. Grab this link, copy URL. See if we can get that with dark mode. Here we go. All right, so we've got this as a resource. Everyone's heard of how to market a game. Everyone knows Chris Z. I don't know why his website is formatted the way that it is, and the text is this far over. What is the search bar doing, Chris? But he has some good stuff on this. A big thing is to put your Steam page up as soon as possible. That's what I'm really leaning into here. There's some charts. A bunch of other stuff. Blah, 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 blah. This is really just what we want to fixate on. This. Get it up there. Get it up there early. There's another tab here. This is the Steamworks documentation. If you go to the Steamworks documentation, you can find a lot of interesting stuff about building up your app and your page and everything. The section we're interested in is this coming soon section of the store presence. There is a ton of stuff in here. It's kind of crazy. There's probably some other sections of this that are useful. We're not really worried about the written section of it or anything. We're interested in just getting it up there. How quickly can we do it? What's involved? Because that's what we want. We want a Steam page for Lo-Fi Flyby. We want to get that up. We want to be able to convert viewership into wish lists. Oh, this little sign spinner. We want somewhere to be able to point people. We want to further lock in our art direction, which this will help us do because it will force us to confront like the final views of a lot of things. Yeah, watch streaks. I think watch streaks are fun to celebrate, but it is kind of a cruel way to gamify you know, a fanatical, like, you exist on Twitch's schedule if you don't want to be punished, you know. I don't like that. So I think watch streak is a fun thing to celebrate, but I don't think anyone should ever feel bad about it. That's my opinion. So, overview, you can put up a coming soon page for your product well in advance. That's what we want to do. This is funny. You must have a coming soon page up for at least 2 weeks before releasing. I didn't know that. I feel like that would literally never matter, because I feel like the common sense logic is that you want to have your Steam page up for like between 6 months and like a year and a half minimum. I heard there's some other Chris Z material that's like the sweet spot is at least 18 months or something like that. And we're kind of in that area based on how I would like at least Lo-Fi Flyby to come out. I'd say we're ideally in like the 2-year zone. So if we're releasing Lo-Fi Flyby about 2 years from now, I'll be happy. So I think to be in that sweet spot in terms of giving it the maximum amount of time to get as many wish lists as possible before launch, I think we're there. Hey, Arneo. Watch streaks suck. But losing your streak sucks even more. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's one of those things. I think I would consider it kind of like a dark pattern of like social media design. Because it's cool to spotlight people who are part of the community, you know? But it sucks to be like, you have to organize your life around your streamer's schedule. It's like, what? That's crazy. It's crazy. Hey, Commander. How's it going? How's everyone doing? So there are some things to think about here. There are some considerations that Steam talks about. How large is too large for this zoom? This seems good. This is an interesting thing about confidence in your art direction and core feature set. Obviously, you don't want to, like, if someone gets a wish list and then the game, like, radically changes so that it's unrecognizable, that's not fair. I don't think it's as huge a deal. Obviously, if you do shit like this during early access, people are displeased, you know? As soon as you do something like early access, but that's not what we're talking about here. We're not talking about early access here. We're talking about just having a store page up, just having a Steam page so that we can start collecting wish lists. We would love wish lists. I love follows. I love subscriptions. I'm talking about YouTube subscriptions. I mean, don't get me wrong. I like Twitch subscriptions too. It's just we love people joining the Discord. We love how active people are in the community here, even though we have such a small community. But we need some way of converting passive interest in the game without requiring people to be like actively involved in the community, right? That's just something you want to do, just to capture as much interest as possible. Yeah, there doesn't seem to, I love this, some things to consider. There doesn't appear to be a strong downside to having a store page up for a long time. That's funny. Yeah, there's some data. Some people are like, wish lists go stale. There's a lot of data to refute this, saying that a wish list from like 2 years ago is just about as valid as a wish list from 2 days ago. Walt, the developer hub Cosmeteer, has some interesting stats they put out, I think along with or in association with Chris Z. But yeah, there's a lot of stats to say that wish lists don't go bad. They're something that you can just get and hold on to for years. Arneo, your watch streak is just a measurement for how formulaic and overly online your evenings have become. You don't always feel great about that. Yeah. Yeah. It's rough. It can be rough. Hey, thanks for the hydrate, Commander. Appreciate that. Maybe you should also say you're genuinely glad to be with y'all as often as you are. Yeah, I think the gamification of it has been taken a little too far. I think it's a fun thing to celebrate when you hit a milestone. But yeah, I think putting too much emphasis on it is not good. Yeah, I would call it a mixed feature as far as how good I think it is, because it's still pretty new. Benefits. These are all good. I'm not going to go into too much detail. I just thought it would be cool to look through the Steamworks thing. Maybe start building out. There's a list of requirements on here somewhere. There is some convolution and confusion about how these different checklists are related. Like, you don't need to have your app reviewed before your Steam store presence, but they're very vague about some of that stuff in here, but I have clarified it elsewhere. They've mixed a little bit about the store presence and the game release process in a way that's kind of unintuitive if you look at it. So here's some things I haven't really thought about. Yeah. Well, this is true. As soon as you have product branding, screenshots, and a description of your game, you can put up a coming soon page to start utilizing blah blah blah. That's it. There is a specific list of things. We'll go into that at some point. But we're looking at kind of the top level stuff. And I know this is like a super different direction for what we normally work on stream, which is normally just programming. That work is still going to go on, but it's going to be more in the background. It's going to be a little more offline for a time. While we get this up. Because we gave ourselves through Q2 to do this. So that is, we're already partway into April here. I'm like looking at my calendar in the corner here. We also have Ludum Dare next weekend. Not this weekend, but next weekend. The 17th. When Ludum Dare starts. We'll be doing compo, so it'll be Friday evening through Sunday evening. Jammers will be going through Monday, but we're doing compo, so for us it'll be through Sunday. That'll be intense. I've been trying to prepare for that a little bit, get some templates ready for some of the more common stuff that we do, taking some learnings from, everything from bare necessities to build a bonsai. I want to get my second Ludum Dare. There is some news in the Ludum Dare community. I don't know if we need to go into it, but like Mike has like underlined when he would like to be done with Ludum Dare. Close a chapter of it, which is about 3 years from now or something like that. But yeah, Ludum Dare 59 is next weekend, and we've got Ludum Dares on the calendar all the way through Ludum Dare 64, which is 3 years from now. So, weird piece of news that came out this week. Kind of a non-news. Non-news. Hey, Boolean. How's it going? How are you doing? Next, we got a Chili update. Oh, your two cats can spend time together now? They don't kill each other on sight? That's nice. Chili also loves human food. I'm not surprised. How are you doing, Bullion? What have you been up to? So, this community hub thing, I'm not sure about. Post announcements, share artwork, audience a place to share their enthusiasm and discuss your upcoming release. Is this the forum? Is this the equivalent of like the Steam forum? Is that what they call the community hub? I don't know if I love that. I think I'd like to centralize most of my engagement on the Discord or something. Obviously, we want to use the stuff Steam gives you to an extent, but I've heard Steam forums are a nightmare to manage. You're good? Yeah, we're doing okay. We're back from a little bit of a, holiday weekend, long weekend kind of break, and I've set a plan for myself for this year. The first part of which involves getting a Steam page up in Q2 here. So we're trying to get serious about that and looking at what's involved in getting a Steam page up for at least our smaller game, Lo-Fi Flyby. I'm kind of working on a number of different projects within my little universe and tech stack here. The smallest of which is like kind of a casual indie simulation game about a cargo pilot, kind of meant to be a desktop or companion kind of little idle game. Commander, you're going to go take a walk. Nice, nice. Enjoy. Enjoy it out there. Allows for wish list. This is obviously the reason we're doing this. We want to build up wish lists for as long as possible. At least a year and a half. Ideally 2 years. We want to be collecting wish lists. Which I think is in line with my ideas for Lo-Fi Flyby, which would be to release in like probably early 2028. Something like that. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. So let's look at this community hub thing. I'm curious about this. Whoa, we biggerized this to the point that the interface started to break. That's funny. Do you talk about the community hub here? Or we gotta go somewhere else to look at the community hub. I guess I could search. I'm gonna open the docs elsewhere. Documentation. Search. Community hub. It seems like it. All right. Community hubs. All right. What's going on with community hubs? That's my question. How do they work? So when it says the community hub is activated, by default, your community hub will be set live as soon as your product's release date is set to coming soon. Okay. So all of this. I see. Front page of the hub, variety of content types. Recent official announcements are pinned to the top. News posts are added based on date. You know, I haven't followed a lot of news posts from Steam games. They have a section in the interface where they pop up on like a banner. I wonder if those also get posted there. Discussions. All of your products' forums live here. I don't love this. I don't love Steam discussion forums. Screenshots. By using Steam's integrated screenshot features, players can share their in-game moments with the community. Okay. Interesting that this all becomes live when you set yourself to coming soon. I feel like most of these don't make sense. Workshop. Would love to do some Steam Workshop stuff with this game to support mods. News. Okay. News is good. That's a great reason to just get people to download a demo, because as soon as you get people to download a demo, you can like post updates and news tied to that demo. And people will see it in that banner at the top, I think. Guides, reviews. It's interesting how this works. I'm kind of curious about Steam discussions. I've heard that you can opt out of this to some extent. Oh my god, trading cards. I forgot about trading cards. We're just looking at a kind of an overview of all of this stuff because honestly, I haven't planned. I haven't planned what we're doing today. Uh, when can users begin to post content in my hub? Interesting. Really, artwork, guides, discussions, and videos can all be uploaded as soon as your release date is set to coming soon. But who qualifies as a user when a game is coming soon? Nobody, right? Okay, broadcasts and screenshots require that your video can actually be played. Interesting that these require that the game be playable, but videos does not. If you've distributed release override keys, those players will be able to upload content. Okay, so it seems like someone has to have the product to count as a user. That makes sense. So even though this stuff is turned on, it's effectively restricted because there are no users. Syndicated news. So I could upload stuff to the hub. Disallowed to tell people about other ways of playing the game. Word. Huh. Interesting. So, like... I would love to not maintain Steam discussion forums. I swear I've been told that you can turn these off, but whatever. That's tangential to what we're talking about. I don't think that's something I actually have to worry about for quite some time. We can focus back on what we're interested in is this coming soon page and like what you actually need to do this. It's weirdly buried into, like, the release process here. I actually think this is exactly where we came from. Yeah, it is. So it's the Your Store Presence checklist. I should just make my Steamworks account and, like, look at the checks list, but I've been waiting. So I need to make a new account. I need to make like a Digital Iliad Steam account and everything, you know? Like a business account, right? Not just a personal account. Next, as usual, I have no idea what you're talking about. Hey, user, can't pronounce it. What's a FTL though? FTL is FTL Faster Than Light. It is a classic starship management game from Subset Games. Came out on September 14th, 2012. Pretty big in the world of games here. We're kind of trying to make our own kind of isometric 2D kind of take on this sort of a thing. Starting small, kind of working our way up to a big, proper, full FTL-like. I would say right now we've kind of diverted towards more of an FTL-lite. Like we're working on a smaller subset of features that we could turn into something. We're going for like a kind of low resolution, very low res, pixel art, isometric style. You can upload something to the hub. Screenshots, videos, whatever. Yeah, that's what we're working on. We're working in the Godot engine. Spaceship simulation roguelike is interesting that it's in quotation marks. We'll have to think about things like written descriptions, the about page, I've heard things that Steam really loves, like bullet points. It's an interesting, they have like a FTL Advanced Edition little update. This is kind of neat. I don't know if I've ever actually read this. You know? Am I signed in? Oh, it's listing all the achievements. Okay. This is neat. How do they describe this? In FTL, you experience the atmosphere of running a spaceship trying to save the galaxy. It's a dangerous mission. Every encounter presenting a unique challenge with multiple solutions. What will you do if a heavy missile barrage shuts down your shields? Rear out all power to the engines in an attempt to escape? Power up additional weapons to blow your enemy out of the sky? Take the fight to them with a boarding party. This spaceship simulation roguelike, again in quotes, allows you to take your ship and crew on an adventure through a randomly generated galaxy filled with glory and bitter defeat. I feel like the biggest differentiator between us and FTL, well, not to a consumer, but for me, is we don't have this, like, core mission hook. It's a little more open world for us, but otherwise, that's a pretty good... I feel like nobody plays the game this way, though. You never have, like, 3 ways to, like, deal with the problem, and then you, like, switch between them. You usually have, like, one strat that you just go all in on. Or at least me. Maybe that's just me. But I don't actually see people play that way very much. What are their tags? Indie simulation strategy. Yeah, I think our big game we'll list the genres as indie simulation and strategy. I think for Lo-Fi Flyby, though, I think we're looking for more casual indie simulation. We could probably put strategy on there. I do want to have some degree of, like, you're making plans with your cargo ship of like, oh, I'm going to pick up this cargo here and drop it there. I'm going to try to make this. I'll probably try to take this route to make these deals. And, you know, you got to try to do the Kessel run in 13 parsecs or whatever, right? Or 8 parsecs. I don't know. I don't remember how that stuff works. Hey, Nanigans. Hey, Nightska. How's it going? It's good. It's good. We're starting our... what I'll call our screenshot-driven development period. We're looking at like what it's going to take to put up a Steam page for a Lo-Fi Flyby. And that's kind of what we're fixated on right now. Weird how this bar just doesn't render after. This UI is kind of weird. Probably works fine for like a 1080p screen. All right, so there's some information here about graphical assets. This is also an area we're interested in. Store graphical assets specifically. But there's actually like a really long, pretty involved list of requirements here. August 2024. Steam is now accepting larger asset sizes for most capsules. Please check the current templates and review the dimensions below. Old dimensions are no longer accepted. I'm going to assume that since August of 2024, they've updated the tables. But it would be useful to download a template set and just fill those out at some point. How's everyone doing, though? So yeah, there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff you got to do. There's some rules that we can look at, but here's the dimensions and everything. So when you're building, what does this open? So here's all the stuff about capsules and screenshots and everything. Okay, this is the section we're maybe interested in most of all. Is there anything in here that would be... There's a lot of additional stuff like community and library and event assets, but this is like, how does your game appear when people can actually download it or purchase it or whatever? So we're not super concerned with this at first. I didn't really know about these artwork overrides. These are kind of interesting, where if you have an update or an expansion or like a limited time discount or something, you can provide artwork overrides, which you can replace for stuff like, do they have any good examples? They have to be timed, but yeah, they can be like, oh, we've updated a language. We've released new DLC, new expansion, you know. Cthulhu has been added to Smite as a playable character, I guess. Stuff like that. Kind of neat. I knew games were doing this. I just didn't know the mechanisms around this, but it's pretty cool. Pretty cool. Like daily deals, you know. Interesting. We're not really concerned with that right now. What we're really concerned with is store graphical assets. We've got templates we can download and look at for sizing and text placement. Should I download these? Why not? Dropbox link? No, I'll do that over here. What do we got over here? I love that it's just a public Dropbox page. All right, get that downloaded. We'll look at that someday. Someday soon here. But yeah, here are the big things that we need. Header capsule, small capsule, main capsule, vertical capsule, screenshots, page background, bundle assets. I don't know if we necessarily need to have bundle assets for a coming soon page, but most of these are required as part of setting up your game. Yeah, I would presume a bundle asset is not required, but we'll see. We'll see. I love the Half-Life Alyx example. I never played this because, you know, I don't have VR or anything, but man, that gets you right in the nostalgia. Hey, Cake Hug, how's it going? Appreciate everyone hanging out here, popping in saying hi. I know we've been gone for about a week, but we're back. We're back, and we're working on a Steam page, getting our store presence. I think once we figure this out, we'll have a pretty strong list of like what we need to create. You're back from a meeting. How's it going? It's good. It's good. We're digging into the Steamworks documentation, looking at the stuff that we technically need to have in place to release our coming soon Steam page, store page. And again, surprises you that Steam is using Dropbox to distribute some templates. They have one of the largest distribution platforms, period. Not to mention their own site and servers, etc. Yeah, it's kind of funny. It's kind of funny. It's probably a security thing or something. Who knows? Who knows? It's probably easier to just dump that stuff there than have to figure out this way of like getting it to people through their like developer, user, whatever. Yeah, we're looking at it. We're looking at it. The thing that's interesting to me here are these capsules. I think the screenshots are going to be the most work, ironically, but the capsule art is something we got to think about, including, you know, our title typeface and all sorts of stuff like that. I like how cleverly they have the little whatever this is, like Delta. I think of it as a dog seated. That's cool how they have that earmarked just to reinforce that, like, this is Half-Life. I know they say Half-Life here, but it's neat. It'd be nice to see as much of the Steam process as you're allowed to share. That's also a question, which is why I'm just doing this with the publicly available documentation and not looking at the actual, like, Steam checklist. I still have to set up a developer account and get all the prerequisite stuff figured out. I was gonna do that this week, and then I remembered that I have to do taxes. And so I'm gonna do my taxes first. And then we'll circle back getting my Steamworks account set up. Dropbox, I haven't used for about 6 to 7 years. I know, right? I know, it's crazy. Nanigans, your bet is it was a quick and easy to implement temporary solution. It was just never updated. Yeah, maybe. I could totally see them being having like literally no process for providing it to the public at the scale at which this sort of thing is going to be provided, because it's like thousands of like Steam games are coming out like regularly, right? I don't know what the number is per day, but it's gross. It like makes you want to like throw up a little bit as a game dev when you hear how many the shape-shifting cat should take that shape sometimes. That's not a terrible idea. That is not a bad idea. I've been told I'm not allowed to call that cat Jonesy. I gotta come up with some new names. As a shape-shifting cat, it makes me that makes me think a lot of Lucy. For anyone who watched Disenchanted, it's all right. It was an all right show. That's what it makes me think of. That little devil, shape-shifting little devil silhouette, Lucy. So who knows? Maybe we'll call her Lucy. Or I'll refer generally, because, you know, we're going to have different human characters. I think it would be funny if for the companion, you just get to use different forms. And it's kind of implicitly like the same creature. It'd be different than like the pilots, which can be like just straight up swapped out. Like you're like, oh, today I'm going to play Ellen Ripley. Tomorrow I think I'll be Dave Bowman. Or, Wash. Hoburn, Washburn. I don't remember his actual name. Hoban Washburn, something like that. That sounds wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's it. Someone sent it to marketing to see if it looked good, and marketing just released the link. Yeah, it has like a specific person's name associated with the Dropbox for the template file. It's like a temp. It says like a person's name. So I'm sure a temp set this up, and that's just how it is. Because you know at Valve, they just work on what they want to work on, right? Which is why they don't make games, really. I adore Valve. I wouldn't say anything negative to their face. All right, so let's look at these contents. If you can tell I'm stalling because I have no plans for what we're supposed to be doing, you would be right. You would be right. So we've got a header capsule, small capsule, main capsule, vertical capsule. I think there's an interesting question because you'll see here's the header capsule, Half-Life Alyx. It's like the same image. And then they use the same thing for the small capsule. And then they use the same thing for the main capsule. And then they use the same thing for the vertical capsule. So it seems like we want to make... It seems like the capsule should be one art piece that has multiple valid reads of it, right? And it seems like the capsule should be a little more cinematic, a little more layered. Like, it shouldn't be like a scene straight out of the game. Like, it should probably be... There's a question of whether there should even be a strong, like, isometric perspective to this, or if it should be a little more a focus on... I don't know what our capsule should be, and that's gonna be kind of something we need to think about. Is we need to think about the capsule, and we need to think about the typeface or logo, or what you want to call it. Logo is the wrong word, but you know, the title. They talk about your logo here somewhere. Design. These are small, so we're best for making the logo clearly legible. So they consider the name to be the logo, right? Half-Life Alyx. That's the logo. That's a good thing to note. Because, like, for me personally, I consider my shield and spear a logo. More so than I consider the title, like, Digital Iliad to be the logo. But for the context of the game, it's like, the logo is that part. Like a recognizable typeface. So that's interesting to note. Could be someone loading up a ship or a ship in the midst of takeoff with cargo landing area in the background. The thing I'm interested in, I think what it's going to be is it's going to be like a really involved rendering of the interior cockpit of like one of the ships, but in such a way that you could see maybe the outside of the ship. I don't know. There's a number of questions we'll have to answer. It's like, is it going to be the whole ship? So that we can do this, you know, multiple different crops. So like for the tight version of it, maybe it's just zoomed in on like the cockpit. The image that comes into my head is Ripley like at the controls, like seated, like maybe leaning back or something, but seated at the controls with the cat in her lap. And she's either like vibing or like asleep. Like maybe make it a little ambiguous because, you know, she doesn't have a face. So we have some flexibility. And I think that's probably what it's going to be at its core, is like the two of them together in like the pilot's seat. And I think I would want to frame the cockpit in such a way that it's like a work-live space. Like you could see in the background, maybe you can see her bunk. Maybe you could see like a kitchenette or something. Like try to provide a lived-in, like this is about the ambience and the environment. And then the only question for me is like how much of the rest of the ship to show. And whether the rest of the ship is cut out or not cut out. Is it like, are we looking at this scene of Ripley through like the canopy of the glass? Or are we like fully leaning into like a big ship cutout? Or are we cutting out the cockpit but not the rest of the ship? And like, those are my questions, but that's like the image in my head. It's an image in my head. And honestly, it sounds like that could be a screenshot too. It should probably be one or the other. I'm aiming for the capsule art to be more painterly, obviously, and less of like clearly an in-game scene. But we have such low-res pixel art that it's not like I'm going to render these characters in high res in the capsule art. Like, they'll need to be at the same resolution. And so the only real question is, like, how does that relate to the resolution of the piece, you know? Nix, you would love it. You would love the capsule if it was, like, multiple ships leaving from a planet while there's some huge monster. Oh my god. And I'm trying to destroy the planet. Or maybe a cockpit view of a planet getting destroyed. Where are you getting this planet getting destroyed thing from? That sounds like a very lo-fi flyby. That would be a pretty funny scene, though, is if, like, they're, like, kind of just chilling, just flying away, and there's, like, some kind of cosmic horror in the background, like, destroying. That's crazy. That's crazy. It'd be funny to have something happen in the back, like that happen in the background, and have nobody acknowledge it. Like maybe at one point you're like flying past like a Star Trek space whale, and you just don't even, nobody acknowledges it. I think stuff like that could be fun. This game is definitely going to be just like a who's who of like little sci-fi Easter eggs. Silly things happening that don't really have anything to do with the gameplay or the story. That could be really cool if at some point you fly by like the event horizon or something, like the ship, the event horizon, and you're just like, nope. Stuff like that. That'd be funny. Pass it through DLSS 5 for the capsule art. Oh my god, Rhiannon. Killing me. From an inside view of the cockpit or an outside view of the ship, looking into the cockpit and seeing them? Yeah, that's my question. That's my dominant question right now, is I think it's better if it's from the outside. If it's a view of the ship from the outside looking in to the cockpit. I think that would be better for the capsule art. And then maybe the screenshot version of that has the ship cut away so you can see like the cargo holds and everything. Not saying we're going to do a one-to-one, like here's a screenshot and here's the capsule head art and it's like the same scene. But like in principle, That would be the distinction between the capsule art and the and a screenshot of a similar scene. For me, would be with the screenshot, we would probably want to do a cutaway and show the interior of like, here's your cargo hold. Maybe here's like a little cargo loader robot or something. Because I want to think up some little robot helpers. Because I played all that Rusty's Retirement and I was like, yes, there needs to be like additional crew members and there needs to be like little like installable like robots. Like maybe you have a set number of like, you know, like Roomba charge points or like Borg attach points where you could like install a robot into here and you can choose like which kind of robots you want. We're definitely gonna do the inflatable autopilot at one point. That is gonna be probably an incredible nightmare to animate, but we're doing it. We're doing it at one point. Maybe a holographic autopilot would be even funnier, but the inflatable one, I would love to do that scene. Little hand-pan drum thing soundtrack playing? Yeah, exactly. Just chilling. Just chilling. Oh my glob. Sapphire Starship. How's it going? Thank you so much for just phaser blasting Arneo with your gift sub. He's all out of sub again. I know. Thank you. Thank you for keeping an eye on that. Arneo, fly by while the planet die. You think that's called juxtaposition? You think it would work really well? It would be funny if, like, you just, like, leave a space station that's being, like, attacked or something. I mean, it would make sense, maybe, that you could do some, like, blockade running stuff. That could be fun. Again, doing it in such a way that, like, it really doesn't affect the gameplay. Because we have kind of a challenge with Lo-Fi Flyby where we want it to be engageable for people who are kind of playing it actively, but we also want it to be a good idle game. Oh, you know what game I was playing that's not really an idle game? It requires a little bit too much active engagement, but it has an idle mode that you can turn on, which is pretty neat. Cast and Chill. I was playing this over the Easter weekend, Easter break on my Steam Deck. This is awesome. This game is awesome. You got a dog. They have like eight different kinds of dogs that you can pick. There's like more dogs than there are like main character sprites, which is correct. But look at this art. Look how beautiful this game is. It's crazy. This game is fun, and it's literally just about going out, catching fish, coming back, selling the fish, like upgrading your equipment, and doing it again. They did it really well. It's definitely more of an active game. Like, when this trailer is done, I'm going to go take a look at its tags. But this game has been really fun to play. I played it for a few hours. Boolean, it looks like your kind of game. Yeah, it's super chill. It was great on the Steam Deck. Because I could kind of play it like one-handed with the Steam Deck while I'm just like, you know, enjoying a cup of tea or something. Kind of hanging out. I was basically dealing with like immense allergies from going down into the valley. But yeah, the fish are great. There's enough strategy of like trying to keep in mind what fish you need and like what equipment you need to use to get the fish and like which ones you're trying to catch right now. There's some interesting, but it's like very opt-in. Like you don't need to. You could just catch fish and you'll make progress. But yeah, the ambience. Also, there's 4 different times of day, and the time of day gradually changes, but you can jump to any one of them, and it will fast forward and like time lapse to the new time of day. Man, so cool. What is this? Oh, this is spoilers. I haven't gone to ice lake fishing or whatever this is. Sick. So sick. What do they consider this game? Casual, indie, RPG, simulation, sports. Interesting. Probably would have removed RPG from that, but you know, if it works, it works. The transitions from the above ground and the underground views are great. Yeah. I'm really enjoying this. I think it's a little less relevant to what I'm attempting to do, but it's a really good window into this kind of a high production value, small game. Yeah, it's very cool. It's very much got that, you know, that Kingdom Two Crowns kind of aesthetic, that kind of side-on 2D deal. Man, I didn't know you could do ice fishing. I didn't even notice this. I haven't gotten to this level yet. Super cool. I bet you can buy like a little shack that you can put. Lake Hunker Down, out now. Funny. Is that a DLC? Do I not have that? I love that it's in a pack with Dredge. Supporter pack. What do we got in here? The dogs. Is there a cat in here now too? A Maine Coon. That's funny. Or a Bernese Mountain Dog. Cute. Super cute. But yeah, I just wanted to talk about that game for a minute. Kind of apropos of nothing. As like a really cool game. And something indicative for us, I think. Is that a new sound or was that always been the sound? It's always been a phaser blast for a gift sub. I think if you sub, it's a transporter beam. So you beam up. But if it's a gift, you get hit with a gift sub, you're getting phaser blasted. But maybe it's one of those teleporting phaser blasts like from The Gambit, the 2-part episode The Gambit. Spoilers. Lo-fi is set in the same world as DI, right? That is a really interesting question, and the answer has to be yes, but it creates problems. The answer has to be yes, but it introduces some problems. I think I'm going to excuse it on the merit of Lo-Fi Flyby is more of like a civilian, like cargo hauling or like scavenging. It's like you're on the outside. You have a fairly low amount of agency in the world, and you're kind of just in it, participating in it. And that's very different than what the eventual narrative arc of like the bigger game is going to be, which is, you know, working titled Digital Iliad. It's still the best name I have. We'll see if over, you know, the next few years something else comes up that just seems more obviously correct, but yeah. For now, treat them as if they exist in the same universe. Sapphire on a 90 stream streak. Wow. Yeah, sorry, I'm catching up on chat here. Poor Nix. Interesting how you leapfrogged ahead of Rhiannon Journey. I think Rhiannon, you were like at risk of losing a streak and then like you saved it, but like you yeah. Yeah, you figured it out. I think we agree. It could be years before the story of DI happens. It's an interesting question. Lo-Fi could be the Hobbit to the Lord of the Rings of Digital Iliad. That's a good way of thinking about it. Let's just go with that. Let's go with Lo-Fi Flyby being the Hobbit. It's the children's book that hints at this bigger, darker story. And it would be cool to set things up in the background because, like, I don't know. When I first came up with it and, you know, decided to call it Digital Iliad, it had a very explicit, like, it literally is, like, and maybe not in every way, but it was supposed to be at least figuratively, like, let's go to my background while I do this. It was supposed to be at least figuratively, like, a adaptation of the Iliad, at least in terms of the kind of story it's trying to tell. Because that it fits video games very well, the kind of story that the Iliad tells, which is like an anti-war story in the trappings of a war epic, which is really neat when you think about it, like how it uses the archetype and it uses all of the conventions of the genre to tell a fairly subversive story about how, you know, war is not worth it. Glory is fleeting. It tells a lot of things. And my game was supposed to at least be kind of part of in this world, and that's how we've envisioned it. Like we've envisioned, you know, disembodied, ethereal, godlike creatures that represent like the logical conclusion of like artificial intelligence as these big things that run the world, and like what's, you know, the humanity has kind of become this mortal race beneath these larger than life, but still very human personalities because they were kind of, you know, created out of us. Much like the Greek gods, you know. The Greek gods are very human-like, but they have a lot of distinctions. And you know, the Iliad is about a war that lasts for 10 years, right? But the story of the Iliad only takes place during like the last few weeks, maybe months. I want to say it's weeks. It might even be less than 2 weeks. I don't remember. It's a very short period of time, right at the end. Well, maybe not right at the end. It's actually kind of in the middle. It's probably towards the end, but it's like a snapshot, and everything happening around it is bigger than it. And I think that's also interesting. I don't know the extent to which. I think if we come up with another name, it will create a different view, and I will reinterpret some of this stuff. But so far, that's been kind of my working thoughts on this stuff. I like the Hobbit analogy, though. That's definitely what Lo-Fi Flyby is like. And I mean like the book, not like, you know, the trilogy. Like, The Hobbit is this teeny little book compared to The Lord of the Rings. Obviously, when we ended up making the movies, for some reason, we made a second trilogy because we're insane. You start as a cargo pilot, then get pulled from your mundane life into a big odyssey. See, that would be an interesting thing to do as part of Lo-Fi Flyby, is to maybe squeeze in some kind of story where you end up being involved in some kind of cargo run or something, or maybe like clandestine operation, where on your end, from a mechanical standpoint, it's not that different than what you've been doing, but maybe there's ways of like talking about the wider story beyond just, you know, there's maybe ways to get the player involved on some level, but it's probably more likely that you're just gonna pick up on this stuff, like in terms of like radio chatter or like little offhanded things. Or if you just look at a galaxy map, maybe you see things shifting on a galaxy map. Like, this is a no-go zone because there's a war going on here. Like, maybe you have to run blockades at some point. Like, yeah, it'll be interesting to hint at this larger conflict from the context of this smaller, much smaller game. I think that's interesting. Kind of apropos of nothing, but interesting. Nanigans, you had 2 potential names for your game if you wanted to pivot it more into being a dungeon crawler. You had the idea of Dwellverse. Dwellverse is funny. Which looks like another game from 2014. The W is interesting. You can't just go Delvers. Dwellverse is interesting, though. Or something like Dungeon Party, which turns out is a TTRPG-themed bar game. Ah. Yeah, it would be, wouldn't it? If only you could time the release to that Nolan film, you'd get all the free advertising. Yeah, the Nolan film, I'm excited for sure. Notice how he's not adapting the Iliad, he's adapting the Odyssey. It's good choice. Good choice. The Iliad is a harder story. Much harder story. The Odyssey is like very, very clear what's going on. And what everything is about. But yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting. Anyway, I guess we should get back to what we were doing. Thanks for that tangent, though. It's a good tangent. It's the kind of stuff we need to think about. Because if my answer was no, Lo-Fi Flyby is not in the same universe as Digital Iliad, it's like, well, what does that mean for all the art we want to do? It's definitely part of the Digital Iliad universe. Whether it makes sense to put Digital Iliad in the top here, I think the answer would be no. I think it would be like, it does not make sense. Because here, Half-Life makes sense to be like Half-Life Alyx. Even if the game was just called Alyx, which I don't think it is. I think it's called Half-Life Alyx. Like, you could still see the argument for putting the Half-Life franchise there. I don't think it makes sense to do that same kind of thing with Lo-Fi Flyby. I don't think it makes sense to, like, put it in a franchise. I think it's implicitly part of a franchise just by being made by me and by being in this kind of certain kind of world that we're developing. It's gonna be very clear, you know, if and we ever get to more than one game. Let's not count our franchise chickens before we've even laid them, let alone hatched them. Does anyone have a rec for a collection of Greek myth stories? I might. But I don't know how, if it's like, depending on how you mean. There is a book called Mythos by Stephen that he put out that has these retellings of ancient Greek myths, which are kind of fun because they're done in like his style. That's my recommendation for specifically what you asked for. Mythos by Stephen Fry. Sapphire, you've decided it's time for you to be a masochist and try the Hyanodon mod for Factorio, an overall mod known for being rather tough and long. Hyanodon. That sounds hardcore. That sounds like it could easily be like a 500-hour, like... Is this a set of mods? Yeah, that all together, like convert the game significantly. Realistic oil and coal processes. Damn. Okay, yeah, this adds a lot more complexity for resource production. Oh yeah, there's a lot of these, huh? Alternative energy. Expect a 1,000 plus hour long game. Crazy. The Pyanodons mod pack, which I assume includes like all of them. Completely rebuilds and overhauls every aspect of Factorio. This is wild. Hey, SoFi James, how's it going? This looks nuts. Slaughter millions of aliens to feed your ever-hungry factory? What? Sports some space-age features, like elevated rails. Okay. I was wondering if it tied in. So this is like a 1,000+ hour experience of the base game. Crazy. Absolutely crazy. Oh, look at all this art. It's one of the smartest things about Factorio is how they've set up their art. It's so easy to just slot in new art that's like that fits very well. Well, this is a low-res screenshot, it looks like, but in general, that seems to be very true. This all looks crazy. I don't know what any of this is. It seems like it's a whole nother game. Is this all the mod relationships? This is like the hierarchy of mods? Wow. Yeah, this sounds like an investment. Do you like artwork? Does anyone artwork? I think I'll speak for myself. I make my own art. I make low-res pixel art. So I'm all right, but I appreciate you asking. You can always join the Discord to share your artwork. But appreciate if people didn't like solicit, I guess. That's something. Maybe someday that's something I'll have to add to the rules. But yeah, we'd love to see stuff anyone's working on. Load the photon torpedoes. Look, Nix, we're generous. We don't judge. We're very gracious. All right, let's go back talking about capsules. So I have an idea about a capsule art piece. I probably need to refine it, start sketching out the contours of it, but I do think what we're probably looking at... Here's the problem, though. A header capsule is like a landscape piece. We'll have to see how we're going to manage that. It would probably need to be zoomed in really close. So you just see, like, mostly inside the cockpit, maybe a little bit of stuff on the edges to get the idea that you're, like, in a ship, but mostly it would probably be the interior of the cockpit. At that point, it might not even make sense for it to be viewed through the canopy. It might make more sense for it to just be the interior. But that's the thing, though, is we have to think about these other capsules. So, like, here's the main capsule, which is bigger. I will have to look at the comparison of the sides in terms of pixels, because that's going to matter a lot more for us than it does for most artwork, since we have such low-res pixel art. And then this is really what has me questioning this vertical piece, which I actually don't know when the vertical piece is for. It's for the front page during seasonal sales and on other new sale pages. Other new sale pages, okay. Yeah, it's almost like the box art piece. And everything else is kind of a crop of it. Seems to be how they've done it. Let me see how wide this cut is. Wide this crop is. I'm like looking for this particular rock. Okay, so the widest cut is this header capsule. It's wider than the other ones because it includes this fence. The other ones stop at this rock. So it looks like we'll just need to make one big piece, and we'll probably want to figure out what the maximum size is for all this stuff. And then create one big piece that fits the largest size, and then probably set some overlays or outlines that see the different cropped versions of it. Because like this is something that could be down res. Like the small capsule compared to the bigger capsules. The only reason you think it would make sense to have like the franchise call out with Lo-Fi Flyby would be if you release them in the opposite order. Yeah, no, that's true. If we had like made our main game and we called it Digital Iliad or something, then it would make sense to be like, here's a cute little thing called like Digital Iliad Lo-Fi Flyby or something. But you're right, because we're releasing it in this order, Lo-Fi Flyby should stand alone. Sapphire, oh boy. That mod's going to be fun. You can't even make a wooden box by hand. You need to process the wood before you can make the box, which also can't be done by hand. It needs machines. That's so funny. You don't even know where to start anymore. I played a version, I was trying to go for that achievement, the lazy achievement, where you make no more than like 100 things by hand in Factorio. And man, just starting is hard, let alone the quality of life issues of like not being able to make anything by hand. I eventually gave up because it wasn't fun. But yeah, I got a little taste of that. Just going for that lazy achievement. Hey, Corolla, how's it going? This is interesting. You like thinking about capsule and box art? Yeah, we're looking at like the list of requirements for the store page and what kind of works we want to make. I think we're going to make one capsule, one large capsule piece that we can crop to different dimensions. It's a little interesting. Like the header capsule here is the wide shot, clearly, because it has much more of the debris. The small capsule is both down res and cropped tightly. The main capsule is still tighter than the header capsule, but it's obviously the biggest, one of the biggest versions of it. This is the top of the Steam store homepage in the main capsule carousel. Okay, okay. So if you make it into the main carousel, you get to do this. Otherwise, you never get to see this. It's interesting. And then this vertical carousel, the capsule. This is the part where I'm like most like, oh, we're gonna need to like, it's gonna need to be from outside of the ship, and there's gonna need to be a background, like a planet in the background or something, because we'll need to fill this in. Even if like the core part of it down here is this tightly cropped shot into the ship, we need to be able to like expand it out into this. And I think it makes the most sense to do what they did here and to make one piece. One big piece of art that has multiple like compelling reads. I don't think I can do differently. Put a black hole in the background and call it a day. There you go. There you go. Or what was it? Put like a weird cosmic horror like eating a planet. It'll probably be a nice shot of a star system. It'll probably be like a big planet in the foreground, and then like maybe another planet farther. Foreground is the wrong word. Maybe like a mid-ground planet, and then some more stuff in the background, including like a star or something. We'll probably put some kind of stellar scene. We'll have to scope that out. All right, so header capsule. This appears at the top of the store page in the recommended for you section, in browse views on big picture mode, and for daily deals if applicable. Okay, at the top of the store page. So this is the main one that you see when you like look at a game. Like if we go back to cast and chill, that's like this one in the upper right here. Yeah, I get that that's likely a bot account, Nix, but it's better for 10 guilty to go free than for 1 innocent to be, you know, improperly punished. So we don't aggressively police that. Cast and chill is pretty. I know it's crazy. I've been looking at it a lot. But yeah, so here's like the capsule header upper right. Theirs is obviously awesome. Theirs is interestingly like it communicates the pixel art while being like a novel. It's like clearly a painting, right? Like it's like not the same perspective. Like you could easily imagine doing this in a way that where it's like just like this, like a side on. Yes, you can pet the dog. It's very important to note. Like you could imagine them doing something like this, and this is probably closer to what we're doing. Like we're going to need to more directly communicate. Like I'm not going to be able to do this. I'm not going to be able to do like a full high-res painting of, you know, one of our characters. This is really neat the way they did it, because they've both made it a painting while still clearly communicating that this is like a low-res pixel art game. It's like a really clever mix, the way they approach this. Smooth in a second. For what it's worth, you would always work at a minimum of 5K by 5K pixels, usually 8K by 8K. Yeah, that doesn't work for pixel art guy over here. We're going to be working probably in the native, close to the native capsule resolution. We're going to box these resolutions and figure out, because here's part of the problem too. Smaller versions will be generated from this. Smaller versions. So like we need to like, so if this is like 430 pixels tall, we need to divide that by some amount. Some amount that we can divide it by, like, I don't know, 5 or something. Like pick some amount so that for each 1 pixel we paint, it takes up like a grid of pixels, right? because we need to retain our pixel perfect viewpoint. Like if we make a small version and it starts getting like filtered down, that's like a huge problem for us if we are like operating at this resolution, which is fine because 430 pixels is already taller than our viewport. Our viewport is 640 by 360. So we would probably approach this a little differently. We'll probably approach this drawing at a very low resolution. We'll have to figure out and dig into this smaller versions will be generated thing. I don't know if they just mean this. I don't think so because they say this as well. Yeah, look at this. 2 smaller sizes are automatically generated. 120 by 45. 184 by 69. Crazy. This will be challenging for us as a pixel art game, but we can probably figure it out. Because 69 twice is this 174 number, right? No. I don't know how to math. It's not. It's a weird ratio. We'll have to figure out. We'll have to figure out which common size looks right. This 120 by 45 thing is like, that's rough. That is rough for us. But we could probably figure out a way to make it work. We also have to figure out a way of getting the title in there somehow. Do they all have to be variations of the same image? I don't think they have to be, but they very clearly say that they should be. Clearly they have a strong opinion that they would like you to have one capsule art image. Forgot where they say that. Yeah, please use the key art and logo that is being used for any retail boxes or marketing. Should be graphically centric and give the user some sense of the gameplay. That's interesting. I feel like that almost never happens. Like here, how do they argue that this gives us an idea of the gameplay? You play Alex and like the hands are interacting with the environment and it's like a VR game, I guess. But we're easily going to do this probably. Well, maybe not. Well, probably. I think that won't be a problem for us. Graphically centric. Yeah, because the focus for us is going to be the pilot and their companion at the flight controls in the center of the ship. And then anything else we manage to squeeze in there will be, you know, focused on the ambience and presenting that. Yeah, lay down 64,000 pixels. Yeah, exactly. That's insane. Can you scale up, though? Yeah, I'm more worried about how Valve scales these down. So, like, if smaller versions are getting generated from this, I would like to know what those smaller versions are. I don't love that this is not described, but I feel like somewhere else they probably get into more detail about that, and I can probably figure it out. Maybe the template resources we download will have something to do with that. Yeah, we have to maintain the hard edges as much as possible. You know, we have to pick the largest size that we'll still download. I mean, we'll just defend ourselves by doing something like 1 pixel for us will actually be like 3 by 3 pixels or something. Like we'll just work at a scale, but they're making it hard. They're definitely making it hard with their super weird, incredibly specific sizes. Like 462 by 174 that gets down-res to 120 by 45 and 184 by 69. So, like, this is a really interesting choice. I guess this reads. The human being barely reads. Like, I can tell that it's Alex because I know that it's Alex. Obviously, having her, you know, name be larger than her and surrounding her. We'll probably put lo-fi and flyby on each side, generally. And since they're 2 words, you could have just the natural space between them be where the action is happening. Because that seems to be what they want. They don't seem to want something like this. Like cast and chill. They got cast and chill up here. So it would be an option to do it small and to do it above. Or it would be an option to do it big and do it to the sides. We'll have to see. One problem I have is flyby takes up a bit more space than lo-fi. But not like a lot. But it's definitely not quite centered. I had to choose whether I was going to do lo-fi as one word or lo-fi. I'm pretty strongly leaning to the lo-fi one word. Maybe with the F capitalized. Actually, no, I'm thinking of F lowercase. Because then the flyby F gets to be capitalized. And the lo-fi F is lowercase. That's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm thinking. I've mocked it up a couple times in my quote-unquote font. My quote-unquote typeface. I'm not convinced that that's going to be sufficient by itself. Or if I should come up with something else. It may be saving multiple sizes for serving up on mobile. It's true. It's true. I'm going to try not to worry about those things too much. Try not to worry about it too much. So these are used, various lists through Steam, these little ones, search results, top sellers, new releases, etc. Small capsule should contain readable logo, even at smallest size. In most cases, this means your logo should nearly fill the small capsule. Yeah, I don't disagree with this. I'd be interested to see what like the cast and chill small logo does, where it shows up. I don't know where it shows. I guess it shows up here maybe as like a bundle. And yeah, this still reads, but like barely. It's actually kind of amazing how low res these are. I'm like zoomed in though, aren't I? Yeah, so they are supposed to read like this. Oh, there's also background, which you can see here, which is different. We have to figure that out too. That could probably just be the background space that we draw without the ship. Just do some like planetoids or something. I thought it scrolled with you or something, but I guess not. Excuse me. Creature kitchen looks cute. You know how many of these lo-fi sessions, like game things I've spotted? There's a lot of them. People like these sorts of things. We're not quite doing this, but it's probably something I should look at. I spotted one that I really like, the Ithia one. The Ithia videos are really good on YouTube. They're like these great fantasy ambient soundtracks, and someone made like, well, I say someone, the creator made like a lo-fi game kind of take on it, which is neat. Like lo-fi studying. We're not quite aiming for that sort of thing, but it's definitely part of the formula. This is interesting. The art in the small capsule does not need to be the same as your other capsules. That's good to know. But it sounds like specifying that here means that the other capsules do need to be the same art, unless they restate these requirements in other areas. Main capsule. So this is the main capsule. Where does this appear? Top of the Steam store homepage, and the main capsule carousel. So if I go back here, that's this. Okay, so this is your main capsule when you show up here, which we never will, so I wouldn't worry about that very much. I wonder about stuff like this. Like, what is this? Is this just a cropped version of the vertical? It must be, right? For the things like the deals here. Like when you got the full spread. Or like, where are the daily deals? Is this the deals section? And then this is probably your small capsule. It looks wider than the header capsule. Interesting. It would be nice if they would show screenshots of the store to show where the different images are used. It would. It would be nice. They seem to be happy enough just telling you in the usage where it is, even when it's like confusing. Like this, search results, top sellers, new releases, etc. Great. Etc. Interesting that this could be a different piece. I feel like it, I don't want it to be, but it's nice to have the option because this is very small. I don't know why this can't be 180. Like, why can't this just be 180 pixels? Why does it have to be 174? That seems dumb. Especially if you're going to break it down to 45 tall. I guess 69 is like a random ass number too. Don't they understand how hard my life is as a pixel artist? All right, main capsule. All of this looks the same. Size, 1232 by 706. This is the largest, but it's also, we have to think about the size of these, but we also have to think about the aspect ratio. Because you'll notice that something weird happens. Like, this is bigger than the header capsule, but it's also taller than the header capsule. So, like, we stop at this pair of like cement blocks right here on the left, but if you go up to the header capsule, you'll see we actually extend quite a bit past that into this, whatever this is, this kind of steel fence thing. What it is, but it's something. So we can't just be like, oh, 12. That's what we aim for. It's like, well, we'll have to do some math. We'll have to figure it out. And then our canvas size is going to be very different than the export size too, right? So we'll have to figure that out. The vertical capsule totally changes everything about, you know, the framing of this piece. But it's nice. They did a really good job with this one. I mean, these are their requirements, so, you know, one would assume that they would do a good job with this. One would like to assume. All right, so the vertical ones can appear at the top of the front page during seasonal sales and on other new sale pages. Other new sale pages. I don't know what that means, but I do think it means that these are just the vertical, which I think would be good to keep in mind. It would be nice if they were like, also you need one of these square ones. But it doesn't seem like they've done that. Like, I would bet that this is the same. And I'm trying to understand where you would have just this, but I do think it happens. Like, I feel like I've seen that before. Like, what if we go to this event page? get anything. I was looking at this earlier. There's some interesting games on here I'm interested in following. The Triple I Initiative, which it's interesting what they consider to be a Triple I game, but like good on them. Like Long Gone is on here, which is sick, which is an incredible game by Hillfort Games. But it's like one guy's making this, but I love that it's the production values are so high that people are like, oh yeah, this is Triple I. I think that's great. So there's a second Graveyard Keeper, I guess, being made. Interesting. I want to play some of these various friend slop games that are coming. Too Deep to Quit looks fun. Over the Hill, Smooth in a Second. This one looks good. Like a Top Gear game. That looks fun. Roamstead. I want to play this. All right, I'm getting distracted. Oh yeah, here's like a is this an overwrite or an artwork overwrite? I think it is, because this is their announcement and they're like gameplay trailer. It's very cool. I can't mouse over it without hiding it, which is unfortunate, but oh yeah, here's the small. So here's the small one. He's used a different piece. It's almost impossible to see, but the Long Gone small capsule art is just the zombie at the fence, which is a good call. But then if I actually go here, the full piece is the zombie at the fence, the player, the cat, the title, some other zombies. Like, they took the opening section and just added a ton of stuff to it. That's neat. Good call. Oh my god, I haven't seen this trailer. That's crazy, whatever's going on there. The art in this game is out of control. I've never noticed the cat before. I wonder if that's a recent addition. Very cute. Love this game. Go check out Long Gone. Crazy, that shot. Thanks for the hydrate, Nix. Appreciate it. I'm just trying to find examples of like where the vertical title is actually used. I don't see a lot of examples, but I feel like I've seen them in certain circumstances, especially around sales. Like, but I don't know. Who knows? But yeah, that was a good use of a different art piece for the small capsule. Fly fell in my water. Sad. Not even fly. What is this? A gnat? It's nasty. Nasty. No, it's just in there. I'm not gonna get it. Good protein, I guess. We shopping? No, Pheasant SC2. We're looking at Steam capsules. We're talking about Steam capsules. And we're trying to relate the stuff they're telling us back to stuff that we actually see on the store. Where were we? Vertical. The top of the front page during seasonal sales. Okay, so that's another, like, this almost never matters because you'd have to be one of the featured front page deals during a seasonal sale or something, but whatever. Design, same. So again, they want the same art, which really puts some requirements on this art piece to have multiple valid reads. Or good crops, or whatever you want to call it. Multiple framings. So this is 896 pixels tall. This is only 706 pixels tall. It's 1232 pixels wide. But it's also cropped in from the header capsule, which is only 920 pixels wide. So yeah, I got to do some kind of math where I compare the aspect ratios and then I figure out something about that, and then we figure out a wide canvas from then. Some kind of canvas size that we could actually use for one piece. Hey, Iliad. You play this? You play Half-Life Alyx? That's cool. Yeah, I don't have VR, so I've never played it. I understand. I've heard that you can play it without VR, but I feel like it would probably not be good. But I don't know. How's it going? We're good. We're good. We're working on our Steam page prep. We're planning to make a Steam page. Shenanigans. This is all essentially a responsive design composition. Can largely think about building different graphical elements as layers and do it for your largest size. And you can play around with the composition and how things are cropped for what works for the individual layers, the different scales and aspect ratios. Long vertical title is the sales splash screen when you first open Steam. Okay. Yeah, it's a little complicated because, like, this is the widest image here, but it's cropped in from the other one. So if we use the same piece as the header capsule, we need to actually do a size larger than this. Like, I would want to say, I would need to figure out some math needs to happen at some point before we settle on what the size of the piece is going to be. Because then we'll also need to pick a scaling. So we're not going to make a piece of art that's 1,000 pixels wide. Not at, the viewport scale. We'll probably do something that's in, like, the low hundreds. So it would be some ratio of pixels, 3 or 4, or something like that. Uma Musume, Pretty Derby, has some pretty good graphical elements. I've heard of that one. That's like a horse game, though, isn't it? Yeah, okay, it's more of an anime game. What is this? Like horse girl racing? Okay. Is this even on Steam? Steam page does not show up as on the first page of links. Okay. I'm going to say that their graphical approach, while interesting, is not terribly relevant to what we're doing. That's my cop-out. All right, so we got to figure that out. So clearly we need a capsule piece. We could potentially have some alternative capsule piece for the small capsule if we feel like we're unable to. What I would probably do for the small capsule is just crop in super tight. Instead of this, because what this is doing is this is kind of the same framing as the header capsule, and they just down-resed it. I don't think that's what we will do. I think what we will do is we'll kind of do what Long Gone did, where we just zoom in. Probably on, like, just the pilot and the companion, right? Like, zoom in really tight on the characters. And just have the characters in the logo. Which, again, we'll have to decide. I think for that, we'd really want lo-fi, the characters, and then flyby. And set it up like that so that they're kind of bordered by... Because this is pretty wide. This is very wide. I don't know what to... I'm not good at, like, describing aspect ratios, but this feels, like, pretty wide. It's about 3:1. It's close to 3:1. So it should be pretty easy to have lo-fi, flyby, and then, like, Ripley and Jonesy. Or whichever character. I think that's probably the one we're going to go with. Since she's our first character that we've came up with. And I feel like I'm going to make Dave Bowman wear his helmet at all times. We'll have other characters too. Yeah, it seems like this is the only capsule that's allowed to be different, is the small capsule. And It's at least implied that the art is largely going to be the same for everything else, which is fine. I don't think I have the bandwidth to make more than one capsule piece anyway, especially if it's going to be this big thing. It makes this look like nothing. It makes this look like some weak shit in terms of like complexity of the stuff to work out. We're gonna need to zoom in super tight for the small, but we'll still need it. I feel like our capsule will probably be like this, probably like really small. We could probably do some compression by, instead of having it be the full isometric perspective, what we'll probably do is flatten the vertical a little bit, depending on whether we show the outside of the ship or not. Maybe we don't. Because I want to show the ship and the console and everything, and them at the console behind the canopy. But I also want to show a little bit in the background. So we might show like a cot, and then like maybe like a, you know, like a pressure cooker, or like a hot pot or something, or like a hot plate. Like show a little bit of like, oh, this is like your truck cab. You like live here. And then have some of the outside of the ship. And then for the tall one, have like planets and shit up behind the ship. That's probably what we'll do, but it'll probably be a pretty small piece. I think this is... I actually don't know what the dimension of this is. So it's 48 times 4, about. So this is about 192 pixels across in this area. So we'll probably do something around in that range for the full piece. It'll probably be like half that, maybe. Do something in like the 100 or so pixel range. And then it's going to be taller than it is wide by whatever. Probably do like, yeah, in the 100, 120 range, something like that. Maybe like a moody ceiling lamp that lights up the character in the middle of the title. Ooh, that could be cool. Cool. This isn't Pixar, but some kind of light framing could be interesting. We actually don't draw a lot of lights in our art. Most of the light sources in the game are implied to be like embedded in the ceiling, which you just obviously won't ever see. Here, the way we've done the lighting is that most of the light seems to be coming from the consoles, which is why we're getting these big shadows. But you can kind of tell here that there is also some vertical light. So we'll see. It's definitely going to be moody. This is definitely a much more lit, evenly lit scene than what we're talking about for Lo-Fi Flyby. Like, Lo-Fi Flyby is the opposite of this. Whereas this is like a full, like, Enterprise, like, bridge deal. Lo-Fi Flyby is like, you know, the one lone pilot in like the cargo shuttle deal. Totally different. We'll see. We'll have to draw another chair. My biggest decision is going to be whether she's reclined or sitting up straight. I think reclining would be neat, but I'd have to figure out how to redraw some of this stuff. It'll be interesting. It'll definitely be one of the first pieces we start working on, I think, because it sounds like it's going to be pretty significant. And then that's just part of it, figuring out the capsule art. We also need 5 screenshots. Screenshots should exclusively show the gameplay of your game. This means avoiding using concept art, pre-rendered cinematic stills, or images showing awards, marketing copy, written descriptions, so on. Please show customers what your game is actually like to play. Menu screens should only be included if they are a unique component of your game. I kind of want to do a screenshot that is the menu, like the galactic travel menu of like, here's how you like pilot your ship around different parts of the system. Like in terms of like picking where you're going to go next. Cause I want an element of that, or there's like no strategy. Like maybe it should be the kind of thing that you don't have to engage in, where you'll just go to the next thing. But I would like an element of strategy. Think that counts? Yeah, I think that counts. I think if the game is a lot about that, I think it's fine. I think we will technically... I think the fact that we are mocking these screenshots up is technically not allowed. But this is a pixel art game, so as long as we nail it, as long as we like literally draw a mock-up of the final game, so that's going to involve figuring out some stuff. Like, what does the UI look like? This is going to be a lot of work. Showing the in-game UI can be helpful to players to understand how they'll be on our game. Yeah, I want in-game UI. For sure. I think it would be neat to show a framing for one of the screenshots that's similar to the capsule piece, but is like very clearly in-game, which would be like, you know, cutting away the ship and showing like the cargo hold, or like maybe stuff's happening even though the pilot and the cat are still in like the same position. I think one screenshot like that would make a lot of sense. That could even be kind of the transition from the menu into a new game. If someone just says like, if someone just starts a game for the first time, we could just go straight into a game and transition from like a main menu that's a lot like the capsule into like you're now you're just playing the game. I think that'd be fun. But yeah, this is gonna be a lot of work. We must provide at least 5. What I also want to do, because this is a game, so let's look up Ropuka. Ropuka, not Rokupa. Ropuka's Idle Island. Kind of our original inspiration for this game. They do this. They do this in the trailer even, which I think would be neat. Because we're going to have this kind of, you know, semi-transparent cutaway kind of deal going. I love that it's just looking up frogs. It would be nice to have a co-working buddy. It's funny how they mock this up. But I really want to do a screenshot like this. I want to do one like this. Like this one literally has like a Windows bar at the bottom. And it shows the game window. Yeah, like this is really slick. I argue that this is a little outside of how this feels like it's done slightly outside of the rules for screenshot, because there's like, this is like, I wouldn't call this marketing material, but this is clearly an out of game like element of text to call out and show how the game appears in what is very clearly like a mocked up, or maybe it's not mocked up. Maybe you can actually get your, you know, your Windows icons to look like this, but I feel like the answer is no. But I think that's something we want to do too, where we have like a full res screenshot of like a Windows desktop, and we show what the game looks like in its like desktop companion mode, in addition to having some screenshots that are like, well, this game doesn't do it, but I think we would want some full screen screenshots of like, oh, you can play this game in full screen, and like there will be a background and stuff of like stars or planets or whatever, but you can also play it in like desktop companion mode, where we window it and like put it down here. So I definitely want like a screenshot or two that's in this mode and shows it. Ropuka does all of it here because they actually have their UI elements as separate windows from the island, which I think is neat. I've never seen this kind of grass before. It's weird. I love the top hat. I don't have a top hat. Game design document. Grass looks pretty. You can unlock hats. Frog works very hard. I think this is neat because they're like they're managing to talk about the game in this little note. I think this is more neat than doing this, like fake big like call out of like this arrow that they drew and like here's this big text. I think it's really neat to like kind of subversively just shove this in here with a notepad file. I think we'll have to figure out ways to do this. To have like at least I would want at least 2 of the screenshots to be here's how the game looks like on your desktop in like desktop companion mode. I think I'd want a couple screenshots like this. I'd probably want a couple screenshots like full screened.
Oh yes, the sleeping.
And then I think I'd want one screenshot of like the galactic trade menu thing where you can like look at where you want to go next or like what kind of trade deals you can get in the galaxy or wherever. I don't know. And then probably just a couple shots, yeah, of the full screen game. Parts of the game. As you would see it. Yeah, it seems like that technically... It seems like this is like a guideline should. And I think there's obvious ways that you end up getting in trouble for like awards, putting awards or like marketing copy or whatever. Like, I think technically those screenshots don't follow along with this, but I think they're good screenshots, so they got approved. So hopefully we can rely on something similar. I think this is the most important thing, showing customers what the game is actually like to play. I think that kind of trumps everything else. Yeah, I think it counts too. Rhiannon, you should have it be like Googling issues someone might have if they were an actual noob pilot of a spacecraft. Yeah, that might be funny. Because, yeah, the format, so for screenshots, they want high-res widescreen formats. So we'd want all of our screenshots would be at full desktop resolution anyway. I didn't know you could have localized versions of screenshots, but that makes a lot of sense and is pretty neat. This is also something super important we got to keep in mind, which is the age suitability and mature content, which I did not know this, but by default, your screenshots are not marked as suitable for all ages. So you actually have to review the screenshots and mark that at least 4 of them are suitable for all ages. They should not contain gore, violence, or suggestive themes. If you do not mark any screenshot as suitable for all ages, they may not show up on some areas in Steam, including the front page. If you do not have enough screenshots, your game may not appear in these places, even if otherwise qualified. So that seems bad. We definitely want to avoid that. The game we're making is definitely suitable for all ages, at least, you know, in terms of all ages that are allowed on Steam, which is, I guess, like, you know, PG-13 or whatever. I think that's what all ages means, but I'm not 100% sure on that. So yeah, size. So screenshots need to be 1920 by 1080 minimum. 16 by 9 aspect ratio. So that'll be what we're working on, which is fine. We have a 4K monitor, so we could just do it in 4K. Depending on how crisp we want everything to look. Or we can always put this monitor in 1080p mode. The vast majority of people are still in 1080p, and even if you're on 4K, when you look at a screenshot, it's taking up like half the screen anyway. So even on my 4K monitor, this screenshot isn't rendering it more than like, much more than like 1080p. Maybe a little more. I don't know. Maybe I'll download some screenshots and see what I get. See what people are doing. I think this is crazy. I thought this was a straight rip of Like, I thought someone just screenshotted their Windows desktop when I first saw this, but I'm beginning to question that because of these desktop icons. They look great. These are funny. Internet. They give an old IE icon. They have a recycle bin that I like. I love their little hacker tools, little command line, little icon. Ropica and Ropica copy. It's funny. I really like this. I really like this of using the notepad, like using the desktop to say stuff. I don't know if I love the mock-up, the marketing mock-up in the background. I think this is questionable, but it's probably fine. Probably fine. Where do these birds come from? Do you actually see these birds in the game? You must. They weren't here before. I'm just looking at their trailer. You know, I'm gonna have a hard time not adding 18+ content to the screenshots. I know, right? Time to head out. All right, see you, Sapphire. Thank you again. Appreciate the gift sub and for you hanging out. Ropica is on sale for $2.99 from now till 4/20. Go get your Ropica. I think Ropica has the right tags for us. Casual indie simulation. I'm not sure about adding strategy or not, because Rusty's retirement adds casual indie simulation strategy. And the way I imagine my game, it does have some strategy, because there's like, I want to have some kind of mercantile little top level thing that you can engage with if you're like one of those. I want to have content for people that want to engage hardcore and like, you know, actually, you know, Rusty's takes this too far, in my opinion. Rusty's is like too much. Like, technically, it's not like Cast and Chill where like you have to actively engage with stuff to like catch fish or whatever. Like, it is still an idle game, but there's so much going on with this. It's kind of crazy. It makes a little bit too much demand on your time, I feel. Oh, we're in ads. Well, that's fine. We're not doing anything right now. Rusty's is good though. This is like a fully painted capsule, which is interesting to me because Rusty looks very different in pixel art than he looks on here. And I don't like that. I mean, I think it's fine. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I do see my partner sometimes will see like a capsule art or see something, and then they'll look at the actual game and they'll be like, oh, I was lied to. So I feel like there's a fear of that, and I feel like if you're a pixel art game, you should really show that. They do it a little maybe in terms of the title, but we're gonna go hard into that for sure. What's the small? Okay, so their small capsule art is different too. It's just this part with Rusty removed. I do love the little eye bucket guys, the water bucket guys. Now I'm all paying attention about people's small capsules. Now that I know that they're different, I'm like looking everywhere. I'm like, oh, what did you do? They just cropped their thing in and removed some characters. They actually removed a lot of characters. They left only the eyeball. They took out the little carrier guy. Took out this gear. They took out Rusty. Did they take out the flowers too? No, they left the flowers. Did they though? No, they moved them. Okay, they rearranged a bunch of stuff, like Nanigan said, having different layers and moving things around. Page background, optional. So this is interesting. I honestly didn't know that this was a thing. Like, what was if we go back to Rusty's, what's the page background for Rusty's? Is there one? It looks like there is one. It looks like it's mostly just grass. Looks like it's just a plain background of grass. Does Robuka have one? Yeah, Robuka has one. It's like their Windows desktop screenshot. So that's interesting. They cropped their Windows desktop screenshot and made it the background. Nanigans, you'll take my game so serious that you will find a way to hack in a mod so that it is part of your development build pipeline somehow. Whether certain things happen in the game or not, define what build flags get enabled at build time in your project. That would be funny. You're crazy. All right, this is the image that may be used in the background of your store page. This is so questionable to me because, like, you can't see the background of your store page, and it also doesn't move. It just stays at the top, and it's completely covered up by the trailer in the screenshot section, and it's not like you can make this section go away. So, I don't know. What would probably make sense would be to take the stellar stuff from like the top of the vertical capsule and just make that into something like just a stellar scape. Because you can't see any of the middle. You can only see like the margins. What size is this thing supposed to be? Yeah, so it's huge. It's 1438 by 810. And so my only real question is like, do we actually draw out to that point? Maybe. This is certainly the biggest number that's come up so far. It should be ambient so as not to compete with the content on the page. Template will automatically be applied to your uploaded file. What does that mean? If you don't upload your own, we'll automatically take the last screenshot and generate an appropriate background image from that. Is that what they're doing here? Well, they didn't take the last screenshot. They're using this one. It's cropped super tight. I feel like they did this. I feel like the developer did this one. I feel like they didn't just take a screenshot. Is it the last screenshot or the fifth screenshot? It's the fourth one. Yeah, whatever. Maybe they don't actually show up in order. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure about that part, about whether we really care about the page background or whatever. Sorry, everyone can't deploy the latest fixes today. You're completing a shipment in lo-fi so you can repair your ship and fix your build pipeline. Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. Everything's got to just come together. You gotta figure out what to do with those self-sealing stem bolts first. There are definitely going to be self-sealing stem bolts in the game. The store background has bigger impact on significantly larger screens. This is a 4K monitor. What are you talking about, Nanigans? I assume you mean like ultra-wide monitors, like freakish monitors. Let me see if I'm going to take this over to my... Because I have a large monitor, but I have a double stack monitor over here. No, that doesn't do shit. I have a 2560 by 2880 monitor, which I love for working. Yeah, this seems like this definitely would matter a lot more for an ultra-wide monitor or something. For sure. I don't have an ultra-wide monitor, and I never will, because I think they're just the worst. Both to develop for and to use. I know some people who have, like, those sickeningly, like... It's like... wrap around, like, one end to the other. Crazy. But yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. This should be ambient, so as not to compete with the content on the page. Oh, I already read that. I lost the Reese's Cup wrapper that I was fiddling with. bug in here. Hit control and minus to zoom out your browser and see how it would look on an ultra wide view. Does that work? Let's go to replicas because I like replicas. Oh, I mean, this doesn't seem to do anything. I think yeah, I guess it's showing up a little more. Like you can see it expanding out slightly when we go to 90%. But after that, it doesn't seem to do anything. But yeah, I get it. It takes up the margins. I usually just do that with my scroll wheel. I'm almost never at the standard Chrome browser zoom, and I'm constantly like, why does this website look so weird? And it'll be because I'm at some crazy zoom. Cast and Chill does a better job with it. Okay, let's go look at Cast and Chill. We like Cast and Chill. Let's see how they handled it. Okay, so they did something similar, though. It's just like this page, which is a menu screenshot. But yeah, I can see how this is very tightly related to the game. But yeah, that literally looks like they just took the menu screenshot and applied it. Yeah, it seems like people are taking up the optional element of it. I do like the way that you can see the little fish just sticking out. Okay, we'll probably do something very ambient. We'll probably do like some stellar material stuff. Like a planet or a moon or whatever. Put something in the background. Hey, Hex to start. How's it going? Happy Thursday. We're doing a deep dive into Steam page graphical assets. Working on getting our lo-fi flyby Steam page up this quarter. Man, I haven't been to most of these maps. These are great. I only just started playing this game over Easter. It's so good. I could never do art like this, but man. I'll stick to my low. I do like how low res the characters are. They're bigger than my characters. They're about double the size of my characters, but it makes a big difference. There's a lot of detail you can fit into here. I don't think I have the chops to double the resolution of my characters, though. I do like the scale, though. I really do. Kind of apropos of just nothing here. I do like this resolution. Thursday already, eh? I hope so. I hope so. Whoever's doing that artwork is top notch. Yeah, the Cast and Chill artwork is incredible. All right. Well, the page background seems very very little effort put into that. Maybe what it will be, because I think we're gonna do the one. We got to do the one capsule piece. That's the same for the header, and for the main, and for the vertical. I think that background. I think for the background, what we'll do is we'll pull from like the top half of the vertical. So the vertical would be like whatever background stuff, because like the bottom part of the vertical is going to be what we're going to use in the capsule. So that'll be like, the view into the cockpit from like the outside of the ship or whatever with the character. That'll probably be what's going on down here. And then up here will probably be background stuff, like a star in the background and some planets and stuff. Maybe some other ship traffic. I don't know, whatever. And then we'll just use that top section for the background. So we can just make one capsule piece. And then maybe for the small piece, we'll do a very specific kind of crop. We're not going to do what they did here where they down-resed rather than reframing it. I think we'll zoom in instead of just down-resing the same scene, since it seems like this is the only one that can be different. So we'll take a look at that. Are you doing LD next week? Yes. I am very much not prepared. I'm messing around with some templates for some stuff, but yeah. This is gonna be my third attempt at Ludum Dare. My only previously successful, I say successful in that I finished the game in the compo, was my very first game jam and my very first game in Godot, and I have not been able to replicate it because we crashed out of the last Ludum Dare I did, so I don't know. I have some trepidation about Ludum Dare. I mean, we managed to get through Down to Jam, not well. And then the Down to Jam before that, I managed to make something, but it was not a game. I am concerned. I'm a little concerned about next weekend's Ludum Dare. I think it'll be fun. But man, we're gonna have to cut scope. Scope is gonna have to be so tight. It's gonna be crazy. But yeah, I have this deep-seated need to complete another Ludum Dare. And prove to myself that my first one wasn't just beginner's luck. Because it was shit, but it was like, I did it. It was a game. It was the most game-like game I probably have made so far during a game jam. Was that Following Wind? Yeah, Following Wind was my first for all this stuff. It was my first Godot game, my first game jam, my first game on itch. It was my got my shit together game. And it's so minimal. Because, you know, my memory of that is the remastered version. But if you go back and look at the version I put out in 2 days, man, it was shit. It's kind of amazing, though, that we got the minimum requirements all done in 48 hours. That's going to be a hard thing to do again. But I'm excited, but very clearly nervous. But it'll be fun. It'll be fun. Are you doing LD? I assume you are. Arnio, you're happy to report you have now coded all 9 NPC ship maneuvers. You can get to building the framework for randomizing them to create an unpredictable adversary. Ooh, that's nice. That's nice. Yeah, very appropriately ship it. All right, bundle header. Bundles use the same set of assets as other products on Steam with one addition. The bundle header. Okay, what does this mean? This image appears at the top of the bundle detail page on Steam. It's so weird that they're like, this is all Half-Life, and then they go to like Dota, and then like more Dota. I think this is Dota. I actually have no idea what this is, but it looks like Dota. And then now we're in Sid Meier's Civilization 6, which reads terribly. Like, I can barely see the Sid Meier here. This image should focus on the branding of your product. For best results, please use the same artwork that you use. Okay, so clearly they want it to be the same as my other capsules. So we'll figure that out. It doesn't say optional, so 707 by 232. How is that compared to like the main capsule? Or the small capsule? 707. Bigger than the small capsule by quite a bit. It's quite a bit smaller than the header capsule. It seems to have like the aspect ratio of about the smaller capsule, but it's about half the size of this, it seems like. Smaller versions will be generated from this. This is my biggest unknown right now. And I feel like this is going to impact my decision making. You played the OG Following Wind and you appreciated it? That's really sweet, Hex. That's also the only game I did significant post-jam support on. And I came out with that remastered version of it. And that's the version of it that I remember. That's the one jam game I made where like the distance from what I actually made to my vision was so wide that I just felt like I had to do it again. It felt like a worthwhile game to do that, but yeah, I don't do that anymore. I don't spend like 2 months doing post-jam support on a jam game anymore. I usually make it, I make my jam game. And if I feel good about it, you know, we just appreciate it. And if I feel bad about it, I just move on. But that game's special. So I will always fondly remember my first Ludum Dare. For how crazy it was. I had just made affiliate like the day before too, which was funny. So it was kind of like a stream celebration as well. Is there theme voting for LD? I know I think the theme slaughter is over. I think the theme slaughter is done. There were like 1,000 theme submissions, and some people went through all of them and slaughtered them. They would be like, it would be like 80 approved, 1,500 slaughtered or something. And I'm like, who has time for that? That's crazy. But I appreciate the jam warriors that do that for us. Slaughter is still ongoing, you think? Okay, I thought it was ending soon. If it wasn't already over. But yeah, I can't do the theme slaughter. I can't look through 1,200 themes or whatever. I'll take part in the next rounds though. You did full slaughters a couple of editions ago. Yeah, it sounds like a lot. All right, graphical asset rules. If it looks like I'm killing time and I'm stalling, you are correctly reading the situation. I don't know what to do next for today. What we'll probably do tomorrow is we'll probably analyze some of these sizes and figure out what capsule size we want to do, and we'll probably start sketching out the capsule. Because I feel like we're going to answer a lot of questions about the art direction, about the character, about the ship layout, at least for the initial ship. I think we will answer a lot of questions doing this capsule art. And doing the screenshots later will be equally revealing, but hopefully not as involved. We'll see. The screenshots might be kind of similar. Insofar as we might use things like the cutaway system to show different views into the same ship. Shows different for you. I wonder if it's region specific or just picks a random screenshot. I was told that it picks the last screenshot, but yeah, it seems to be the same. Actually, I don't know. I haven't tried reloading. Oh no, yeah, it is picking a different screenshot. It's picking a random one because I just reloaded and it picked a different one. And now it's a different one again. It doesn't seem to be repositioning them as much. Oh, only when I zoom in past 100% or past 90%. Yeah, that's interesting. Capsule time already? That's our goal. We have a game plan. We have a game plan, Hex. Q2, game plan, Steam page. Q3, game trailer. This is going to be hard. This is going to be a hard lift. Probably only going to be able to achieve a 30-second to like 1-minute trailer or something. And then the demo in Q4. This is it. We're jamming. Well, jamming is the wrong word. I'm actually treating this year kind of as like a big game jam. I'm like really trying to focus on like, what are the actual things that we need to do to achieve our goal? Put everything else to the side for later when we have time. Yeah, you remember the plan? Good. Glad somebody does. It's been our plan for a few years now, but this is the year we're going to do it. This is the year we're going to do it. There is some built-in time because you realize that we need this to be done by GDC 27 and the plan runs through Q4 26. So I am giving myself, the first couple of months of next year to kind of hopefully have the demo out, have people play it, get some feedback, make some adjustments, before I have to go to GDC with this demo. I think this game is going to be really hard to demo. I have this feeling that Lo-Fi Flyby is going to not demo well, being like a mostly desktop companion like idle game. But maybe it'll demo great because I don't know if it's going to demo well. Because most people only spend a few minutes on it. I think it'll demo well on Steam. I should specify. I think this is going to be a hard game to demo in person. I don't think it's going to be a good showcase game, I guess is actually how I should say it. I think my game is going to demo actually quite well. Because the demo is going to be very generous in terms of how much content it lets people engage with. Just pretend it's a jam, do it in 3 days. All right. Yeah, we'll do it. So tomorrow we're going to do the Steam page. Saturday we'll do the trailer, and Sunday we'll knock up the demo. Sure. I am kind of pretending it's a jam, though. You're not wrong. As Rhiannon said, we're delivering on scope. Or not scope, we're delivering on deadline. We're trying to switch our mindset to deliver on deadline. Nanigans, you kind of like that perspective of looking at it like a long jam. At least for yourself, that triggers a completely different mindset on how you'd approach building it. Yeah, me too. We obviously can't spend, you know, another 2 years just like messing around and like trying different like tool set pipelines. We need to be a little bit more mercenary about how we spend our time. And my little pet projects and my little nice to haves and little to-dos need to be subservient to the actual real deadlines and the real things, the list of things we actually need to have. But it does help the kind of game this is, because in the demo, I can allude to a lot of content that's not in the game. Like, you can show thumbnails for a bunch of content that you haven't really implemented and just be like, this content is locked in the demo. People will like crack open the demo and they'll be like, the content's not even there. It's like, yes. Rhiannon, as someone with ADHD, that's how you get a lot of stuff done. You wait until you have a jam length amount of time and then your brain can lock in and get stuff done. Yeah, I get that. Yeah, if it only came without stressing out about it for a week before. Oh, for me, my problem is like sleeping during that time. I can't wind down during a jam. I get wired up and locked in, and I just can't. I can't put it down until the end. Ludum Dare this time is going to suck a little bit because the start time is 6 p.m. So I haven't decided what we're going to do yet. We'll probably do a prep stream on the first day. I'll call it like day 0 or something. And we'll probably do a prep stream that ends after the theme reveal or something like that. And then we'll do 2 more streams that are like actually working on the game. But yeah, the 6 p.m. start time is kind of rough. Kind of a rough way to start a jam. All right. Hey, Commander. All right, so I'm just double checking here for any other rules. Just to see if there are any other rules we need to think about. This stuff is not applied. Like, I like this. This cracks me up. All these fake game titles. Guitar Billionaire. I think these are fake. I think what points to me as this being fake is the consecration of Esme or whatever. Esme. Winner. Likely to win the most awards category. Award Prognosticators 2022. I love this. This is like a Dear Esther joke. Pretty good. Custard Castle Small Claims Court. Steam Festival Fest. Up to 90% off. Yeah, that's fine. You are allowed to make these. You just have to make them with the temporary art overrides if it's like a sale or fest or whatever. I guess you can't do the accolades thing unless you do it as a temporary. Content on base graphical asset capsules, link to game artwork, the game name, and any official subtitle. For clarity, this means no review scores, sure. No award names, sure. No discount marketing copy, sure. No text or imagery promoting a different product, fine. No other miscellaneous text. Easy. artwork overrides. That's pretty cool. Any text included on a graphical asset must be localized into at least the same set of languages supported by the game. That's important to note. We're probably not going to do any localization to start, obviously. I know people say I could just do it with like machine learning, or you know what I mean. Like you could have machine translated. It doesn't have to be machine learning, but you could have machine translated localization. My problem is I have no way of verifying the results of anything like that because I don't speak any languages. I barely speak English, you know. But yeah, that's something we're gonna think about when we mock up the UI. Is like, how do we do this in like the least lexical way possible, where like the language is not required to play the game. The language will be required to like engage in the deeper story and like any lore dumps or whatever I put in place. But like, how do we make sure the UI is like the easy way to do it is to make it like symbolic, right? Like a symbolic UI. Like if you need to buy or sell stuff, it would be nice to have like a button that looks like a dollar sign or whatever, right? Or a coin or something. Because yeah, we're not going to be localizing anything. Library graphical assets, we don't care. General graphical assets. Fine. PG-13, yeah, appropriate. Easy. So that's what they mean by suitable for all ages. They don't mean G, they mean PG-13. Base ain't biting. 2022 sink and ship update. So when we do major updates, we can put these graphical overrides on, which will be cool. We can be like, new ship, or like 8 new crew members, 4 new ships, 2 new companions, or something like that. Like we can do stuff like that. All right, I think I have an idea. I think I have a good idea of what our requirements are. I guess tomorrow we'll probably type them up into Obsidian, try to calculate the capsule size we use, and maybe we'll just start drawing. I don't know. I don't really know what else to do. This is screenshot-driven development. You're planning on just making localization easily moddable to start with? Yeah, that's a nice way to do it. We'll see how comfortable I am with that. I'm hoping that, you know, this game is successful enough that we can go back and localize it and be able to afford localization on the next game. But we'll see. Who knows? Be prepared to sell no copies, right? You thought the last one was also 6 p.m.? I might have been. I don't remember. Last one I did was last April. Localization's good to have. A human in the loop. Yeah. There needs to be somebody that I trust that can be like, this is legit. As a true one-man dev army. I like that you wrote, as a true one-mad dev army. You have to learn every language you want to localize. I do feel like one mad dev army. Ooh, tacos. That sounds good, Commander. Vulcan neck pinch update out now. Void Blit. That's good. That's good. Yeah, we're looking at our capsules. We're looking at making a plan. It looks like we're gonna make one piece for all these capsules. That's kind of like this. That's kind of like this wide, this tall, big piece that can be at like a pretty large scale that can be cropped for different uses. The small we're probably gonna reframe rather than just down res. I do need to do some research on what this means. Smaller versions will be generated from this. I would like to know what the smallest version. That information's probably available somewhere. I don't really want to do the Google search foo to figure that out right now, but figure it out. Yeah, this is cool. I think this will be cool. I think it'll be really great to have a Steam page. I think that's really the thing that I am missing out on, especially as our channel grows and we get more people watching on like Twitch and YouTube and stuff. We need to start collecting wish lists. You know, we just have to do it. It's like a high priority. It's the highest priority. You've not checked out Godot's localization tools too much yet. You're used to building things out where all the text content is just represented by placeholder tokens, which can be swapped out. Yeah, I don't know how much support Godot has for that, but that definitely is my understanding as the standard way you do it, through like a lookup table kind of thing. You'll absolutely go in and pay proper translation services if the game makes financial sense to do so. No, I mean, supporting like fan mod translations is fine. And yeah, obviously, if you can afford to do so, you should go back and try to get as much. There's some other Chris Z resources about what do you need to translate. And some people, well, him especially, he'll be like, you want to translate your store page into like Mandarin maybe, but that doesn't necessarily mean you need to translate the whole game into Mandarin. It's like some people are willing to, if it's a game especially that has a very small amount of text, some people are willing to play it anyway, but it does help if the store page is at least in the languages that you're trying to sell the game in. And then some demographics I know are very, like, I've heard that, you know, so I've heard that thing about, you know, converting your localizing your store page, but not necessarily the game for some groups. But for some groups that won't work. Like I've heard Japanese language players need the game to be, not need, but pretty much will ignore you if you haven't converted the game into that. Whereas I think in some different groups, I don't know. These are just things I've heard. I don't have firsthand knowledge of this. All right. Enjoy your dinner, Commander. Thanks for stopping by. Since things are built to be mod friendly to begin with, your text lookups are trivial with sport. Yeah, that's smart. Smart. Even in Baldur's Gate 3, the English language is essentially just a mod added on top of the base game. Anyone can go in and change it and add their own if they wanted to. That's neat. I do want to look at setting up more of our assets that way, treating them as like a kind of special kind of mod, the quote unquote base mod or whatever you want to call it. I do want to do that, but that is the kind of thing that we are not trying to work on. That's the kind of thing that is not a very jam oriented or jam friendly mindset. But yeah, I don't know. I think we kind of did what we wanted to do today, which was kind of outline the stuff. I think we'll come in and write it all into Obsidian. I might even note it down tonight, depending on what I end up doing. But yeah, I think this is fun. I think this period of development will be fun. Our quote-unquote screenshot-driven development, where we're really just locking down how the game looks, how the game appears. Just do exactly what's needed to get that Steam page up, and then move on to the next thing. All the while, other stuff is still getting worked on in the backgrounds. You know, systems are still getting programmed up. It's just not going to be the prominent thing we work on right now. Mod support isn't your first priority in game jams? I know, right? I think having the sub-module system will be helpful so that Lo-Fi Flyby can aid in and take advantage of common functionality that we're using for, you know, multiple games here. At a certain point, you do imagine that you'll start branching off and you'll have like a specific solution where it's like, oh, Lo-Fi works this way. The main game isn't going to work that way, but we've branched it so that we can get Lo-Fi out the door, and you know, we'll start heading down that road too at some point. But for now, I think I can be pretty confident that what we're going to be doing is going to be pretty generally useful. But the lack of direct control over what the characters are doing, I think, is probably going to be the most interesting thing. Maybe we even want to add some element of control, like you can tell the character where to go, but they'll do their own thing on their own. So maybe we actually have a unified control model where we actually do the same kind of interaction. And we just have more of there's more of a reliance on like things automatically happening than in the main game. You gotta run also? No worries, I think we're gonna wrap it up. I think we're gonna wrap it up here too. I know it's a little short, but I started a little late and I gotta go do some laundry and stuff. And work meetings, blah, 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 etc., etc. But this was fun. I actually thought this was more fun than I thought it would be. Just kind of looking at the capsule art requirements and screenshots and stuff. Making the art will definitely be fun. I'll have to get my drawing tablet out, make sure it's charged. And we'll start working on stuff. We'll start mocking up some big new art piece that will replace this, probably. We'll have some big new art piece to use everywhere. That'll be cool. This piece is so old. How old is it? How old is this art piece? This art piece is from August of, so this is 2026. We started in 2024. I already had this. I made this art piece in August of 2023 is what I want to say. Which is crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy how little time and attention we've been able to put towards the art style. So I think we're more than overdue to kind of circle back on here. And imagine how awesome it's going to be when we just have Lo-Fi Flyby running in the corner. We just have like a version of the game just running in the corner as like a little desktop companion at all times. That's going to be great. That'll be great for testing and for brand recognition and for all sorts of stuff. I'm excited. I'm excited to be working on Lo-Fi Flyby. But yeah. Thanks everyone for hanging out here today. I probably got to wrap it up now. I do. Oh, Boolean's live. Probably just go raid into Boolean. Hang out there while I go, you know, do laundry and get back to work. Boolean's cool. It's hard to believe their stream is they've only been streaming for like a year or so. Their channel's gotten huge. I'm trying to study him to figure out what his secret is. I think part of it's his time slot is really good. But I don't know. If you know, let me know. I know he's a cool guy. I know that's a good start. But I want to know. I want to know the secrets. But yeah, we'll be back tomorrow. We'll be back tomorrow and we'll be back Saturday. So we'll keep working on this stuff. And then next weekend is Ludum Dare. That's exciting. Terrifying, exciting, all the good things. But yeah. Ship them if you got them. Hey, Fanny Slam. Bye, Fanny Slam. We'll be back tomorrow. We'll probably be doing art. It's probably going to be the common refrain for a long time coming here. Yeah. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you all have a great rest of your day. And I will see you all next time. Bye.